Okay, let's move on with Chapter 3, Accounting. Um, I got you through the work together 3-1, 3-2, and 3-3, and that was introducing the 5-column journal and then talking about the advantages of using the journal and then showing you how to actually record our transactions in the 5-column journal, which is called journalizing. All right, so I've got us down here to the last row that we have available, and this should be page 1. All right, because this is our first page. We've just started our business, and this is what we've done. So you can see I've used our account titles. I have 1 debit and 1 credit if you were to look through there for each transaction. All right, so here's the deal. Sometimes you get through you're on your way through the month and you actually don't have enough lines for all the transactions that took place that month. So what we have to do is we have to go ahead and do what's called prove the journal and then get ready for the next page. You might use 3 pages for 1 month. It just depends on how many transactions you have. But you have to go through this process every time you use a new page in a journal. Now, this is probably a little outdated in the sense that most companies probably now use an online form and they probably can continue on. But if you were to have to do something like an Excel spreadsheet or by hand on a paper document, then this is the process that you would take. All right, so what you're going to do is the last transaction we had was Norm Derner for drawing. And so we've used up the last line. So what you're going to do is whatever the last date was, you're going to use that date again. And then you're going to put down here, you're going to put in the words carried forward. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add up the columns of this journal. Now, I've created these spreadsheets for you, and the nice thing about doing it this way is that I don't know if any of you have done anything with Excel spreadsheets, but these are Google spreadsheets, but pretty much the same thing. And I think this will help us a little bit. Is you can click on this. This is called a cell. You can click on this cell, and then you can go right up here to this little backwards E. And you can click on the sum function, and all you have to do is put in E4 and then put in a colon and put in E17. That's the range that you want added. And then if you hit enter, that's going to add everything up for you. And the nice thing is let's say this is a mistake and I'm just kind of going off the grid here a little bit. Let's say you accidentally put 30 in here and it's supposed to be 300. You'll notice that by using this auto sum, if I go back up here and change this to 300, now that I've used the auto sum, this automatically changes. So this should make things a lot easier than if I were to have you do this on paper, or the old way we've done it is then you would have had to add these up with the calculator, and if things don't equal, then you have to go back and re-add and that kind of thing. All right. So the other slick thing you can do is once you've added this up, you can just click on this little square, and once your cursor turns to a little plus sign, you just hold down the mouse key, and if you drag that across, it'll automatically add up all your columns for you. All right, so that's a little tip, and now I have added up all my columns. All right, so this is page 1. So now we have actually page 2, and what we're going to have to do is now we've got, I'm going to come up here and I'm going to put page 2. All right. And so now we just have our blank 5-column journal. So what we need to do is we need to bring the totals that are down here, we need to bring them up here so that we can start the next page. So I'm going to stick with that April 27th date. That was the day of the last transaction. Need to stretch this out a ways. I don't know why it's like that. So we've got April 27th. Then what we're going to do here in the account title, we're going to put in brought forward. So this means that we're bringing our we're bringing things forward. Okay, we're bringing the totals. We're bringing the totals from the first page onto page 2. All right. And what that's going to look like, and again, by having it set up like this, I've created these spreadsheets for you guys. All you have to do now is we can highlight these, and I can do Command C, and I can come over here, and I can do a Command V. Oh, that's not going to work. All right, so that might not work since it was a sum. So I'm just going to hit undo. So it looks like we might escape. I wonder if I can just do it one at a time. We'll see here. If not, I guess you may have to do a little bit of work. Yeah, it's not going to work because we use that auto sum. So that's all right. So we just have to go ahead, and it's going to be 49.58. So I'm just going to have to do these by hand. So it's going to be 49.58. And then 2255. All right. And then 3385. All right. And then 4255. And 3573. 3573. All right. So we now have brought these forward, and all right. So what we need to do next is we need to come down here, and we have to do what's called prove page 1 of the journal. And when you talk about proving, what we want to do is we want to make sure before we go on with any more transactions that our debits equal credits up here. Also, if that's the case, then our accounting equation should be in balance. Assets should equals liabilities plus owner's equity. All right. So what you're going to do is, this is general debit 49.58. Now you can copy and paste if you want. So I'm going to come down here to general debit, and I'm going to copy that number down there. And then this is general credit. So I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to come right here. All right. And so debit column totals, credit column totals, we're just bringing them down, and that was general. Now I'm going to go to sales. There is no debit, so if you want, you could just put a little line through it to remind yourself that there is no debit for sales, but there is a credit. So I'm going to copy that number right there. And then cash, I'm going to come over here and grab these two numbers and bring them down. And you don't have to copy and paste if you don't want. You can type them in. It's up to you. All right. So now what I can do here is I can, and I'm kind of not being too distractful, but I'm kind of putting in some formatting here. All right. So I'm going to add these two up. And again, I can come over here to this auto sum, and I can click on that, and I'm going to hit sum, and I'm going to put D14 and through D16, and I'm going to hit enter, and I've got that number, and then I'm going to again hit my sum, and I'm going to, actually I think you can click, I guess, and then E14 through E14 through E16, and I'm going to hit enter, and my two numbers match, 9213. That's exactly what we want. That shows that our debits equal credits and that we have hopefully put the numbers in the right accounts and everything's good. All right, so that means I'm ready to go on to my last few transactions here. So I've got, okay, I'm not gonna, and this is okay, I'm gonna just do this. I've got April 29th. I've got received cash on account from L row. So that's going to be accounts receivable L R O H E. And if you receive cash on account, it's going to be $300 for cash. And receive cash on account. So that's going to be a credit right here. All right. And then on the 30th, I received cash from sales, 544. All right, so I know that I received cash from sales for 544, and that's the credit, and I'm receiving cash, so there's that. And so now, remember, since these two accounts have their own titles, I don't need to put anything here. And I forgot to mention that my source document right here is going to be cash register tape 30, and this one's going to be R3, and then this is just going to be a check mark again, just to show that we brought those forward. Okay, so the last thing, again, what you're going to do, and I'm not going to do this just for time's sake, is this time I guess I will put this. You're going to come down, you're going to go 30, and you're going to go total, and you're just going to go ahead and add these up, all right? And then you'll come down here to page 2 and do exactly what you did, but you'll be using these totals down here to make sure that the transactions you've done are still the same, all right? Then the last thing that we're going to do is we have to do a thing called prove cash. And what they're going to do is they're going to tell you what the balance was in your checking account. So here's how we're going to do it. We're going to walk our way through it. It says cash on hand at the beginning of the month. We actually didn't have cash on hand at the beginning of the month because we just started our business. Then what we're going to do is, I'm going to have to add these up. We are going to take the amount of cash we received, which was $50.99, and then we're going to add those two numbers together, and since that's going to be $50.99, and then we're going to take out the cash that we spent, which was $35.73. All right, and if you do things right, what they're telling us is that the book says that we should have $31.87, and if I subtract these two numbers, it's going to be $31.87. I've got the answers in my book right here, and anyway, it's going to be $31.87. So you want these two numbers to equal. They give you this number, and then you need to make sure they equal. All right, so that's really quick 3-4 in a nutshell. Do your best, and again, whenever you have questions, make sure you ask if something doesn't make sense.